that I wanted to ask your help with, or not help, but like discuss it honestly, and being honest with yourself, because this number one self-improvement like thing is that I think one of the first steps is if you can't be honest with yourself, or you're lying to yourself like inside your own head about what you're doing. Let's say you're writing down a journal at the end of the day, right? And you've had like an okay day, maybe you've sat on YouTube for 2 hours or something, but you've still done something productive. But in your head, you lie to yourself and say that it was the best day you've ever had.
Yeah, you could have done so much better.
Well, exactly,
you could have, instead of 2 hours on YouTube, you could have gone to the gym. You could have read.
Yeah, but then people that lie to themselves to then feel like they're in a better place.
Yeah.
And do you feel
artificially?
Do you feel like at the beginning of this, were you kind of doing that or not?
At the beginning of what? This like recording, or just like my self-improvement, habit tracking,
all that.
I would say I did it to some extent.
Yeah.
But obviously I learned, and I'm glad that I learned that you shouldn't be doing that. It's detrimental, because the stricter you are with, for example, tracking habits, all of this, then you'll have a more disciplined outcome, a more disciplined you, and that is what obviously you want. You want to grow as fast as possible. For example, I'm thinking of the habits. I've got a good example here. I've got one of my habits. It's to stretch in the evening, right? Yeah. And I used to, if I didn't have enough time, I'd just do one portion of that stretch.
Yeah.
So I do a couple stretches, not the whole like 10 stretches or whatever. And then I'd tick it off. I'd get the habit done. And obviously that's not being honest. I didn't do the full evening stretch.
We talked about this before,
and that's just training to fail, isn't it? Because if you once you give yourself that tick, you're gonna tell your mind, all right, that's good, I did it, I got the reward. That's the minimum effort I need to do to get that tick.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's not. The minimum effort should be the whole thing. In fact.
Yeah. So what do you think about how? So let's say someone does accept that they are lying to themselves, and we use that motto that they are lying to themselves. How do you think they can take the next step by adapting? So they accepted that they're not honest with themselves, they lie to themselves about the tracker. Let's use a stretching example. Stretching for an example. They do 5 minutes when they're meant to do 10. How can they
adapt?
Yeah.
So if you've accepted that you haven't done enough, you need to adapt by just persevering, I'd say. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sometimes, which has happened recently, I'm 5 minutes into the stretch, and then I know, well, if I go 5 more minutes, I'll get that tick. Yeah. And it's just perseverance, endurance, mental endurance. Yeah. You can also make it easier for yourself by reminding yourself the benefits of the habit, the purpose of it, like stretching, good benefits. Well, there are no bad benefits. You got more flexibility, muscular relaxation, recovery. You can unwind before bed, which is good if you're doing it in the evening, like me.
Yeah.
So, you just to adapt. You need to pretty much, to sum it up, just persevere. You just build more mental strength, I'd say, and like realize that this is actually fun and good and
benefiting you. Because I think being honest with yourself, people sometimes don't see the benefits of what actually comes on, because they're hazed by all this. So say NoFap, they're going through the first 4 days, all that, but then let's say they fail, and they're not honest with themselves that they made an improvement not to make the 4 days. They think they've done the worst thing by relapsing on the 5th day. Let's say they've done the first 4 days, if ever, the first time, and they're not honest with themselves and say, okay, look, I've made improvement. I used to not be able to go a day without it, but I've done 4 days. And if you're not honest with yourself, even if it's a small thing, positive, that goes back to with your aunt as well. If you're not positive and honest around what you're doing, and we got to say every bit of improvement is a small bit of improvement. Every small bit of improvement is still an improvement. And if you can take that, look at it in a good limelight, look at it in a positive limelight, and actually accept and adapt that you have conquered something that you've never done before, then you're more likely to be honest with yourself as well. I think honesty is such a hard thing to grasp, though, because we always have that little voice in our head telling us that we're not doing it to the best extent.
Yeah, like if you hop on self-improvement, if you're a beginner, I probably thought this, or if you're just starting any sort of task, any sort of new ritual, habit, exercising, whatever it is, you want to do as best as possible, right? That's
Yeah.
just instinct.
Yeah.
And then if you actually do worse than you expected, your lizard brain or whatever, it might tend to lie to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You might like to lie to yourself and say, "Oh, I did it well," even though truly you didn't actually do as well as you could have.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can, early on in your stage of self-improvement, eradicate all lies and become truthful, that is going to benefit you so much.
Yeah, 100%. But I think the fact that people do lie about what they're doing in their head is because society's